The Adventure Cycling Association is doing their best to keep us isolated from society on today's route. I can't find a single gas station, convenience store, grocery store, or restaurant on Google Maps between Bardstown and Harrodsburg, so we'll stock up accordingly for the day's ride. Like the previous Western Kentucky Parkway, we will cross the 71-mile-long Bluegrass Parkway that started as a toll road and then went free in 1991. Good morning from Bardstown, Kentucky. It is Monday, July 8, day 54, and just had a very low effort on behalf of the hotel's breakfast. It's got to be like the bare minimum one can do under law to still be considered a continental breakfast. Orange juice, milk, dry cereal, a little tray thing with bread and bagels in it. And we have a shorter day today to Harrodsburg, Kentucky, where I'm looking forward to seeing my college roommate, Drew Man. I'll share some stories about Drew Man on today's ride. The sun is right in my eyes. You see that? Forecast said fully cloudy all day. Not partly cloudy, fully cloudy. I know the second I stop to put on my hat and sunglasses, that sun goes behind a massive cloud and stays there for the rest of the day. So what do you do? I'm still thinking about it. All right, I caved, at least with the sunglasses and hat. Remember, I can control the weather. This is going to cause the sun to go behind a cloud. We're definitely not in Utah anymore. Look at this. We cycled down to the Amazon rainforest. Drew Man was my roommate for 3 years on the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood was the third floor of Sammy Morris Hall at Taylor University. We had a bathroom, of course, in Sammy Morris Hall, and the bathroom had shower stalls. At the beginning of the semester, we would take the dividers between the shower stalls and lower them so we could see each other's faces while we showered. Converse, community, that sort of thing. And Drew Man was having this profound thought one day. He was thinking, why do we shower vertically standing up and bathe horizontally lying down? And he wanted to throw a wrench into the gears there. And so his idea was to take one of those dividers and place them on top of take one of the vertical dividers and place it horizontally on top of all the other dividers, so we could have the jets from the shower just showering down on him while he could lie down and have a horizontal shower. He did it and had his horizontal shower. Story number 2 is called Who's the Fool Now, Scott? Drew Man enjoyed finishing his meals at the dining commons with a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And Scott Aronson, he had a penchant for putting salt in people's cereal when they weren't looking. And he did this a lot to Drew Man. And so one time, Drew Man's got his cereal and Scott did his salting thing. Drew Man took a taste and immediately could tell that Scott had salted his Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And instead of getting upset, Drew Man took the bowl of cereal, poured it over his own head, and looked at Scott and said, "Who's the fool now, Scott?" Clearly indicating that Scott was the fool in that situation. Here's story number 2. Story number 3 is called Intentional Comb Over. Drew Man and I were fascinated with, older men who thought they could, make the world think they actually had hair by taking the little bit of hair they did have and combing it over top of the bald top of their head. And we got thinking, what if somebody intentionally shaved the top of their head and wasn't even bald, but kept the hair on the side so that they could comb it over. And so we finally talked Drew Man into letting us shave his head, which we did, and Drew Man wore the intentional comb over for one day before shaving the rest of it off. He pulled off the intentional comb over. The next story is just called Blimp. Taylor University had a blimp. It wasn't powered or anything or motorized. It just, they filled it with some sort of gas, and it was tethered to a rope, and they'd fly it for homecoming and occasional events just up there on the tether. Well, Drew Man was up to no good one night, and he noticed that the maintenance building on campus was open, and he entered it, and lo and behold, he saw the blimp. So he grabbed that tether, started running all around campus with it. You know, this is 2 in the morning or something, and he was thinking, what can I do with this? And so I'll show a picture of what Sammy Morris Hall looks like from the outside. There's 4 columns or pillars. He thought, I can tie this to one of the pillars, and then it's gonna float to the top and stay up there, and it's gonna be all funny. And you know, the worst that's gonna happen is maintenance is gonna have to get their cherry picker to go up there and bring it back down. All right, so he did that. Drew Man tied his knot, you know, in a loop around this column, and it went up to the top, and he started waking up people in the dorm. Hey, come out here and check this out. People are taking pictures. Anyhow, the knot comes loose, and that blimp sails away. And Drew Man was kind of forced to confess to this prank, and he and 2 others had to buy Taylor University a new blimp at a cost of what I think was $6,000. He was suspended for a week and put on social probation. The next story is called Tetanus. We like to play a lot of ultimate frisbee at Taylor University in the afternoons, and there weren't always the best fields for use during this, and there was one field we used that had some sort of tree, and you know how sometimes trees have a little placard at the bottom indicating, I don't know who it was planted in memory of, or if it was just denoting what the type of tree it was. So that was near the field. Drew Man runs into it. He was playing barefoot at the time and cut his foot. So he went to the medical clinic on campus for a tetanus shot, and they had to give it to him in his behind, of course. And this story was relayed to me secondhand by Drew Man. And what Drew Man told the nurse, he said, "Nurse, you know when your mom tells you that you should always be wearing clean underwear in case you're in an accident?" And the nurse said, "Yeah." And Drew Man said, "I just want to let you know that I'm not wearing any underwear." There's the next story. This next story is called The Hurl. Drew Man was somebody who, you know, when we wanted somebody to do something to give us a laugh, Drew Man would always be up for it. We loved him for it. And so, you know, hey, we're at Steak and Shake. Hey, Drew Man, gargle the pickle juice. He'd gargle the pickle juice. Hey, Drew Man, sled down this hill naked. He'd do it because he gave us a laugh. And we had this statue thing outside of Sammy Morris Hall at Taylor called The Hurl. That was not something that the students called it. The actual artist who made it called it that. And it was this black structure that looked like a Roman column, all painted black, twisted and stuck into the ground at an angle. It was just, I'll try to find a picture. They removed it about a year after we graduated, so that might be difficult. But I noticed one time when we were tossing disc out there that there was a panel on the underside, about a 2 foot by 2 foot panel, just held into place with flathead screws. So I grabbed my screwdriver, we took off that panel, and it was full of all this rebar on the inside to keep the structure of it in place. And we were thinking, oh, what could we store in here? Time capsule or something. And somebody got the idea, somebody should sleep in here. And so, of course, that meant Drew Man. And so Drew Man borrowed a hammock, and he spent a night in the Hurl. We played Ultimate Frisbee during the day, and often at night was when we played disc golf. And disc golf at Taylor University had all these wacky holes, you know, this statue, this person's window at Olson Hall, all these sort of things. And we had a course laid out. And one of them was the statue of Sammy Morris, which was outside the Union, and it had a fountain in the middle of it. And this was in the winter, and the fountain still had water in it. It wasn't cold enough to freeze. And Jeff Taylor, we were playing with Jeff Taylor, spelled Geoff, so we called him Geoff. And Geoff had some like hotshot job that summer, and he was swimming in cash. And we played that hole, and Geoff said, "Hey, I'll give $10 to anybody who fully submerses themselves in that water right now. $10, cash. You gotta completely sink your head completely underwater." And so Ethan, who was interviewed on this channel, who also cycled across America, he says, "Man, that's worth $10 to me." So he starts disrobing. He said, "Could I disrobe, or do I have to do it with the clothes on?" Geoff said, "Oh no, you can do it however you want." So he gets down to his undies, and he's standing in the water like saying, "Oh, this is so cold," about to go under. And Drew Man, fully clothed, dives into that fountain from the side and gets the $10. And Ethan is standing there like a fool in his undies in the water without $10. Oh, so many good Drew Man stories. You're thinking, enough of the Drew Man stories. I thought this was a channel about cycling across America. Okay, what can I say about today's ride? It started off very busy getting out of Bardstown. Granted, I started later because I was waiting for that breakfast, that incredible breakfast. I was ready earlier, but I thought, ooh, I want some food. Probably should have just skipped it. So, a lot of traffic in Bardstown getting out. No shoulder, less of a shoulder than this. Here, there is a 12-inch shoulder. It was worse getting out of town. And a climb getting out. What else? There were supposed to be heavy clouds all day in the forecast. And it has been sunny and bright since we left. Hopefully those clouds will come. And there's nothing. I don't think a single gas station or anything between here and Harrodsburg. So I got snacks and enough water to last me the day. The Lincoln Homestead State Park is 3 miles ahead. It doesn't open until 10, and it's only 8:50 right now. So we wouldn't be able to get in, but maybe there's something we can see from without entering. A lot of these Lincoln sites are like, Abraham Lincoln might have grown up in a house that would be similar to this, somewhere around this area, and they just kind of designate it as that. But I don't know if this one's like that. Stopped at the Lincoln Homestead State Park, and these are like replicas of log cabins that Abraham Lincoln or his ancestors might have lived in. It even says on the placard here that these logs are 100 years old. You do the math and find out what time Abraham Lincoln was born and died, and yeah, this is way, 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 way younger than Abraham Lincoln or his descendants. This is the purchase ticket at gift shop cabin. This restroom is a replica of one that Abraham Lincoln might have used when he was watering his horses one day going through the country. I found an incredible artifact. Abraham Lincoln's diaper was changed at this diaper depot changing station. Some very nicely maintained houses and yards here in Mackville, Kentucky. The only real little town we're going through today until we hit Harrodsburg. Cute little town. Strange things found in the gully on the side of the road. Today it was a stroller I just passed. I did check, no infant was in the stroller. It was an empty stroller. Another VBS theme. When I was a kid, VBS themes were like long-term fasting. One more Drew Man story before we arrive. This one's called Dr. Thunder. So Dr. Thunder is the Walmart brand of Dr. Pepper, and for some reason Drew Man had an affinity for Dr. Thunder, and I drank my share of Dr. Thunder in college as well. But we were performing Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven at a talent show at Taylor University one night, and Drew Man was on the piano. And at the end, and as we wind on down the road, that part of it, Drew Man has a can of Dr. Thunder on the piano, the Steinway Grand Piano in Rediger Auditorium. And I didn't even know he was going to do this. And so he starts shaking it up. Just total rock and roll. He's got a wig on, long hair, and then he cracks that thing open and he just starts pouring it, and it was so rock and roll. But the thing is, after the fact, he got in trouble with the dean's office because he spilled Dr. Thunder on the Steinway baby grand piano. There you go. That's my last Drew Man story. Although I lived a few years of my childhood in Louisville, the only Kentucky city I have been to along the Transamerica Trail is Harrodsburg, due to visiting my college roommate who lived here. Their family cattle farm operates north of town. Besides being a significant city in Civil War history, it's home to the company that manufactures Gorilla Glass, which is used on many consumer electronic touchscreens. Here's a recipe for derby pie. I'm looking for this in Kentucky. I remember eating this growing up, but apparently derby pie is now trademarked. You can't call it derby pie. I had an excellent afternoon and evening with my friend in Harrodsburg, Kentucky. He took me to the post office where I shipped home 4 pounds of things off my bike that I wasn't using anymore. And I got myself a haircut, last haircut I'll need for the summer, and then just spending some time catching up and sharing stories and playing music together. And he took me around to some sites in Harrodsburg, went to Danville for a couple of those errands. That was my first time seeing Danville, Kentucky. That's not on our route. And had a wonderful homemade dinner with a pasta and salad and veggies and ice cream and lemon pie. It's been an outstanding visit here in Harrodsburg. Today's daily recap. Our scenery today was a 5. The difficulty was a 3. And my overall feeling of positivity is a 10.